Welcome, everybody, to the Redzone Report right here on the Built-in Buffalo YouTube X and Facebook channels. I'm your host, Izzy, and we are here to talk about tomorrow night's Monday Night Football game between the Buffalo Bills and the Atlanta Falcons, and to go over a little bit of what happened last week with the Patriots in Buffalo with our snazzy cold front uniforms and how that game went. So we're going to see if the Bills can right the ship. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Izzy. This is the Redzone Report, and we talk Buffalo Bills football every Sunday. Last Sunday we did not because it was too close to game time, and so decided to skip last week. But this week we are here. We have no game today. Our game's tomorrow. The Jets are still the Jets, and they stink, and the Dolphins are still the Dolphins, and Tua, boy, does he turn the ball over. We are here to talk about the Bills and the Patriots last week, and the Bills and the Falcons tomorrow. And so luckily for me, I have a 4-day weekend, so I'm off tomorrow and Tuesday. Tuesday, I have a funeral to go to for my buddy John Buffington, who I highlighted a few weeks ago on one of my shows. John, you will be missed. God bless you. And that's my dude. His service is going to be on Tuesday. So we're here to talk about and be happy. So let's. The Buffalo Bills played the New England Patriots this past week. Right? We played the New England Patriots last week. We lost that game 23-20. Right? And it's not for lack of effort on the Bills' part. You know, the Bills went out there and they did their best. They came out flat, and it just wasn't our week. And, you know, that happens sometimes. You know, sometimes you come out and it's just not your week. Looking at the comments, Sandra L. King, as always, in comments. Much love to Miss Sandra. Appreciate you being here. But yeah, it just wasn't our week. You know, looking at the way the game went down, Drake May and Josh Allen put up very similar numbers. Drake May was 22 of 30. Excellent numbers, 273 yards. He didn't put any touchdowns through the air, but he had that offense humming. Like sometimes you don't have to score touchdowns, and we've seen and said this about Josh Allen. You know, sometimes Josh doesn't have to put up the touchdowns himself. He can just put his team in position to score those touchdowns, right? And the Patriots did that, right? Ramondre Stevenson had 7 carries for 14 yards, averaging 2 per carry. He scored their 2 touchdowns, right? And why was he able to do that? Because Drake May put that offense in position to not need Drake to throw the ball in the end zone. Right? His QBR was 64.7, not bad. Passer rating 101.1. Drake May is a bit of a dog, you know. I'm growing to appreciate his play. I respect him. I hate the Patriots, obviously. Bills fan, right? So, you know, we see that there. But, you know, when you see somebody like Drake May come along, you got to respect the game, baby. Like, you just got to. And he went out there and he earned his respect this week. He played against the Bills, right? And the Bills have beaten every team this year by, 10 points or more, except for the Ravens. And we finally took the L this week, right? We turnovers. Josh had, interception, a couple fumbles. It was not very Billsy, this game. we've made it a habit to win the turnover battle and win games because of it. You win the turnover battle, you're more likely to win the game. That's just a fact. Now, there are anomalies where you win the turnover battle and you don't win the game. This was not one of those days. Stephon Diggs cooked us, by the way. He was targeted 12 times, caught 10 balls, 146 yards, 10 total, 0 touchdowns. He averaged 14.6 per reception. Hunter Henry, 2 catches, 46 yards. Kayshon Boutte, 3 catches, 43 yards. They were efficient at spreading out the ball. Now, Josh Allen was pretty efficient too. Dalton Kincaid and Khalil Shakir both had 6 catches, 108 for Dalton Kincaid, 45 yards for Khalil Shakir. Joshua Palmer had 2 for 36. Curtis Samuel, 2 for 26. Keon Coleman, 4 for 23. Dawson Knox, 2 for 15. Tyrell Shavers and James Cook were both targeted, but, James Cook rushing this game, he was not on this game. 15 carries, 49 yards. And that was a big thing for us. If James isn't cooking, then we're not doing very well. Right? So we need James to cook. We need this offense to be balanced, and James has to do it. Josh Allen had 9 carries for 53 yards because the rushing game wasn't really popping off, and there was nothing really to keep the Patriots honest on defense. They just did what they wanted to do for the most part. And, that was rush the passer. And Josh had to get out of there quite a bit. And he did. Now, it's not to say that Josh was pressured a ton, but, it is what it is. When you have your quarterback running for his life, that's going to be what happens here, right? And Josh, generally speaking, had a lot of time, but his receivers weren't getting open because the defense could play the way they wanted to play. Because the run game was not there. The run game keeps balance. It keeps the offense with the element of surprise, and we just didn't have a run game in this game, and the Patriots took advantage of that, and the turnovers, and the fumbles. If we look here, Josh Allen fumbled one, and he lost it. Keon Coleman fumbled one, and we lost it. The Patriots had one lost fumble, and that was Ramondre Stevenson. They just flat out beat us, right? And you can say that the Bills beat themselves, and I'll accept that, sure. We didn't play Bills football this past week. Patriots took advantage of that. They went out there and they kicked their field goal, and it was a long field goal to win the game, but he got it. And it was hard to watch. It was not a good game to watch. If you sat down and watched the game, it just wasn't that entertaining of a game. 23-20, you think that you'd have a little bit more fun watching? No, not really. Not really. It was a rough one. It was a rough one. I mean, special teams was probably the highlight. Curtis Samuel, had 3 returns for 84 yards. He averaged 28 yards per return. Longest one was 31 yards, so that that was pretty good. Ty Johnson had 2 for 43. His longest was 24. So the return game is fine. We had no punt returns. Drake may just, carved us up. Prater made both of his field goals, so that's good news too. And Wisnowski, he punted the ball. We'll say that. He punted the ball. Now, getting back to the brass tacks. Yeah, I see you, Marianne Calabrese. For God's sakes, of all the games to lose, it had to be that one, right? I think I might rather lose to the Falcons. Well, I absolutely would, because losing to the Falcons does not hurt our, conference record, nor does it hurt our division record. But losing to the Patriots hurts both. But we win tomorrow, we ain't got to worry about that, We win tomorrow, we go to 5-1. The Patriots are 3-2 or 4-2. So, yeah, just keep ahead of them. We don't have to worry about that. One thing that worries me is that, generally speaking, the Bills have had some trouble in the middle of seasons. Not last year. Last year, we only lost, 3 games actually. We lost 4 because the last one we didn't play our starters. We were guaranteed the 2 spot. But in years previous, when we would go, or 11-6 or 12-5, 13-4, we'd have a little slump in the middle of the season. When we lost to the Broncos that one year, it happens, but it shouldn't. And so I'm just hoping that's not what is about to happen, because the Falcons have what it takes to beat the Bills if they play their cards right. Right? They have Bijan Robinson. They have one of the premier running backs in the NFL. The Falcons are a formidable team. Michael Penix Jr. is a solid young quarterback. Right? Is he on Drake May's level? I don't think so. But is he a pretty good little young QB? Absolutely. He's a left-hander. Bills are used to playing lefty quarterbacks. We play twice a year and embarrass them. So hopefully that there's more of the same when we see the Falcons. Hopefully that we can go out there and give Michael Penix Jr. the business when it comes to laying down the lumber in this game. But I'm telling you, the Falcons, if they play this game right and they use Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier correctly, it could be a bad day for Buffalo. Our run defense is god awful, and maybe after the bye, when we get Hoyt and Ogunjobi back, we may be able to shore that up a little bit. But I don't know. Like this game right here is going to be tough tomorrow if the Falcons play it right. If they don't play it right, then there's nothing to worry about. The Falcons are not a team that's going to overwhelm anybody. They're a good team, but they're not special. But damn it if I lie to you and tell you that Bijan Robinson isn't special. Like, I don't want to sit here and say, like, we're going to lose this game, because I think we're going to win this game. But this is a toughie. It's a toughie. The Bills, according to ESPN matchup predictor, have a 60.8% chance to win this game. If it's me, I put money on Bijan Robinson having a pretty good game. If you're a betting person, I'm really not. But if you were going to bet, Bijan's probably going to have a solid game. And Bijan is a jack of all trades running back. I'd put him a tick below Saquon and a tick above Jonathan Taylor. Maybe this year you flip those two because Jonathan Taylor's having an awesome year and Saquon's kind of not. But you look at how historically those two guys have been. Saquon's been the better back historically. But this year it's not. Bijan is up there, dude. He's a beast. When you look at running backs right now, Jonathan Taylor leads the league 480 yards. James Cook is 450. Wow. Bijan's not even top 5 total yards. But again, the Falcons, in my opinion, have been not using him properly. Bijan has 64 carries for 314 yards, 4.9 per carry. I think he's being underused. He might have been hurt for a week or so, but I'm not sure about that. But if Bijan is healthy and Bijan gets out there and he gets going, it could be a long day. All right, looking at the comments here, we got Donna Everly Henderson. Spot on. We were sloppy. Tomorrow night, we will be ready. Oliver will be back. Let's go. If Oliver's back, if you're correct about that, which I haven't seen, so I don't know. But if you're correct about that, yeah, Oliver can make some noise. Can make some real noise. Cause some havoc. My man, Christopher L. Roseboro. My man, how you doing, player? Freaking go Bills. Indeed. We are 15-4 after a loss since 2021. That's what I'm talking about. Look, the positivity is what we need here as fans. Like that, the Bills know what's up. Like they're going to play the game. Like I love it when I talk to other fans and they're like, "Yeah, don't overlook my team, son." It's like, I'm not playing the game. I can overlook whoever I want. As long as the Bills don't overlook them, I don't care. But I can overlook whoever I want. I'm not on the field, so it's funny. But I really do like that positivity. Bringing up that statistic is excellent. Appreciate that. Said McDermott said we played too cute. We played the game they wanted us to play, and we did. That's true. That's true. Why we didn't have Benford on Diggs is a mystery to me, because he ate Tre'Davious White's lunch the whole game. Like he just kept taking Tre'Davious' lunch money, and it wasn't even close. Trey was not near Diggs a lot of the time, and I love Trey. Right? And I think he's a capable cornerback still, but you don't put him against Diggs, right? Against a true route runner who's going to have you shuffling your feet. You just don't do it. Like you don't put him on. I'd say Diggs is a mid-tier number one now, right? 2 years ago, he was a top flight number one. He was a top 5 cornerback or wide receiver in the NFL. Now he's probably a top 20 receiver in the NFL, maybe. Didn't look like that in Houston, but I'll tell you what, it did look like that in. Lay down, Luna. Lay down. Didn't look like that, last year in Houston when he tore his ACL early in the season. He looked like a glorified slot receiver. This year, having a quarterback the capacity of Drake May is night and day. And I'm not trying to cast any aspersions on C.J. Stroud, right? C.J. Stroud, his rookie year was excellent. Last year, we all know that it was doo-doo caca, right? It was crap. Drake May this year, as of right now, is a top 5 quarterback in yardage. Drake May is proving that he was worth that pick that he was selected at. I mean, he's got what? He's 113 for 153, 73% completion percentage, which I believe is the highest in the NFL, second highest in the NFL to Jared Goff. 1,261 yards, which is more than Jared Goff, and he's averaging the same 8.2 yards per pass as Jared Goff. Yards per game, 252 yards per game, which is better than Goff. 7 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. Goff's got 12 to 2, so that right there is where it's at. But he doesn't have to score those points. They're 4-2 right now, right? If we lose tomorrow, we're 4-2 as well, and they take the division lead. If we win tomorrow, we're not worried about it. 5-1, keep it rolling. We go into the bye. We come back. We get get Joby back. TJ Sanders just went to the IR, so that opens up a spot. But Drake May, despite being sacked 17 times, the kid's looking good. So, yeah. The Bills played too cute, and against a team like the Patriots, right? Mike Vrabel is not a coach who you should be coaching cutesy against, right? You should definitely be playing more dominant ball. Like being cute is for when you play bums. You can be cute against the Jets when Josh Allen had 125 passing yards in that game, and we won by 3 scores? It would have been 4 had Tyrod not thrown that garbage time touchdown. But you can play cutesy against the Jets, right? You don't do it against the Patriots. The Patriots are a team that has a solid defense. Christian Barmore up the middle. Christian Gonzalez in the backfield. Their corners are solid. Excuse me. Christian Gonzalez, Carlton Davis, the Patriots, Kyle Duggar, like they're a solid ass team. You can't go out there being cute. They may be able to get away with being cute a little bit against the Falcons, but the Falcons' pass defense is actually pretty good. So if you look at team defenses, the Falcons allow the fewest yards in the NFL. So as of right now, that's the number 1 defense in the NFL, even though they got clapped a couple weeks ago by the Panthers 30-0. As of right now, the Falcons are leading the NFL in total defense. Now, if we look at passing yards that allowed, they've allowed the fewest. The Buffalo Bills have allowed the second fewest. Rushing yards per game, the Falcons have allowed the second fewest. The Packers have allowed the fewest. The Bills are damn near at the bottom. If they're not at the bottom, The Dolphins, Cowboys, Eagles, Ravens, Jets, Giants, Chargers, and Titans are the only teams that have allowed more rushing yards than the Bills. This game is going to come down to the ground game. Can the Buffalo Bills and James Cook run this ball, maintain possession, eat the clock, keep Bijan Robinson on the sideline? I'm not as worried about Michael Penix Jr., right? I'm just not. He's a good young player. I think that he's got potential, but he's been kind of underwhelming this season. I don't think that's a knock on him, going into the future. He's growing, and that's the thing, right? Last year, he only played like 4 or 5 games, right? He was behind Kirk Cousins for most of the year, and then all of a sudden he's, thrown in there because Kirk Cousins just was a shell of himself. You look at this year right now, he is 22nd in the NFL in passing yards with 918 yards. They just had their bye week, I believe, because they are 3-2 right now, I think, or 2-2. What are the Falcons? Yeah, no, they're 2-2. Okay, so they're 2-2. The Bills are 4-1. So we played one more game than them. They just had their bye week. So he's had one fewer game. I wouldn't put him too far down the list. He's right behind Caleb Williams, Bryce Young, and Kyler Murray, and Spencer Rattler, who Spencer Rattler's looking pretty solid at times this year. Telling you guys, the Buffalo Bills tomorrow, they have a tough game, but I think that's very winnable. In fact, I think we should win it. And the Falcons do pose some problems, right? The pass defense is a problem. The run defense that they have is a problem. Their defense overall is going to be a problem. Joe Brady, luckily, offensive guru that he is, can help scheme around those problems. Now, what do I think is going to be key for a Buffalo Bills victory? Josh Allen is going to have to go back to his doing whatever is needed method. I actually sat Josh Allen on my fantasy team this week. I sat him. I also had Justin Herbert on my fantasy team, and I played Justin Herbert. I think I'm still going to lose anyway on my fantasy team because of my roster. I had to start Cortland Sutton and Garrett Wilson, and both of those two dumpster fires. Well, they played in London today, so maybe that took a toll on them, but it was a rough one. It was a rough one. Looking at my fantasy team now. So on this one, I actually started Josh, so we'll see what happens there. My backup quarterback was Jackson Dart. Started Puka Nacua, 3.8 points. What the hell? Garrett Wilson, 2.8 points. Cortland Sutton, 2.2 points. Zach Charbonnet, 4.2 points. Yeah. I got clapped this week in Built-in Buffalo Fantasy Football League. That's a tough one. In my other Fantasy Football League, this is when I sat Josh Allen. I also had Cortland Sutton and Garrett Wilson, and they did nothing for me. Nothing. Justin Herbert put up 32 points for me. I got Bijan Robinson on my team, and he's going to start because I think he's going to go off. Trevion Henderson, Garrett Wilson, Cortland Sutton, Michael Pittman Jr. I got Dalton Kincaid, Tyler Algier, Kamani Vidal put up numbers for me. That was pretty good. I got the Bills defense and Jake Elliott. Yeah, it's a rough week for fantasy for me, but this week I sat Josh in the league where I had a quarterback who I thought was going to do infinitely better because Justin Herbert played against the Miami Dolphins, and I'm looking pretty right on that one. We're going to see what happens here, but man. And the Buccaneers just beat the Niners. If you're not impressed by Baker Mayfield this year, it's gonna be a tough one when we play him because that boy's good. Baker's having a really good year. But keys to beating the Falcons. James Cook. We need to run the ball efficiently. The offensive line is gonna have to really put their big boy pants on and block. They're gonna have to open holes for James Cook. James Cook is gonna have to be more decisive than he was last week. He's gonna have to hit the holes with intention and purpose. He's going to have to really, really, really make people miss and get those first downs. We're going to have to, we got to get the tough yardage. Josh Allen has to become the quarterback that gets you what you need and not necessarily the big flashy plays. We have to keep the ball out of the Falcons offense's hands. They are prone to making mistakes. They are prone to some fumbles. But Bijan Robinson, if he goes off along with Tyler Algier, which there are two big backs, and Tyler Algier, before Bijan Robinson was drafted, was a 1,000-yard back. This could get ugly if we let those guys run wild on us. Now, that being said, those two are going to have a monumental game for them to beat the Bills. If the Bills are on their P's and Q's. The Bills can hold on their passing defense. We can make them one-dimensional. We can take away the run. And then Buffalo Bills can, win this game hopefully by putting up 30 or more and, winning by 2 scores or more. That would be ideal. The Falcons, I don't believe, are going to go down quietly. It is in Atlanta, in their dome, and we all know how good Josh does in domes. Josh in a dome is excellent. See you, Bobby Hall. What's up, baby? How you doing? My man says, sup, Mafia. Sup. But we all know Josh Allen plays his best ball in a dome. That's why I think the new stadium, a lot of people were clamoring for it to be a dome. It's not a dome quite. It does have ceiling, which will basically eliminate the wind, which is basically the effect of a dome. So Josh in a dome is going to be nasty. He always has been. And I think that's going to be key right there. Our wide receivers are definitely going to have to make a concerted effort to get open. Khalil Shakir, I believe, is going to be the key wide receiver in this game, along with tight end Dalton Kincaid. The Falcons, generally speaking, are pretty good against tight ends. Their safeties, Bates is one of them. And let's see, who's their other safety? Falcons. There's Jesse Bates the third. And Xavier Watts. Pretty good safeties. At corner, AJ Terrell Jr., pretty good. Mike Hughes is also pretty good. Billy Bowman Jr. is questionable for this game, but Mike Ford Jr. behind him. I don't know much about him, so I don't want to pump him up too much. Looking at their linebackers, Devon Diablo, solid sideline guy. A little undersized. Arnold Ebiketie, though, excellent linebacker there. And then Caden Ellis, pretty good young linebacker. Actually, no, he's not young. He's 30. Why did I think he got drafted this year? Don't know. But Leonard Floyd's up back on the Falcons, along with defensive ends David Onyemata, Ruka Rororo, and Zach Harrison on the D-line. So their defense is playing well. Bills are going to have to do quite a bit to get there. See, Randy Parker, will Kincaid be playing? He was in a red non-contact jersey all week. I'm hoping that he is playing, Randy. I'm hoping that he is playing. If he's not, I'm confident in Knox. And I also like Jackson Hawes. If Kincaid's not out there, I think it's less obvious that we're passing because, Kincaid is more of a pass catcher than anything. But, Dawson Knox and Jackson Hawes, they're no slouches. But we'll see. I don't think there's been an official report as to who's going to play. But as of right now, Dalton Kincaid is questionable for the game. When I go to depth chart here, going down, Kincaid is questionable. Curtis Samuel is questionable. Let's see. Defensive tackle. So it looks like we're a little short-handed at defensive tackle, but they'll probably bring Zion Logue up from the practice squad. See, Matt Milano was out this game. That's a toughie, but Shaq Thompson's played well in his stead, so we'll see what happens there. There'll likely be Terrell Bernard, Dorian Williams, and Shaq Thompson. Tre'Davious White and Christian Benford starting at corner. DeMar Hamlin's also been placed on IR along with Dorian Strong. Cole Bishop, Taylor Rapp. I hope Taylor Rapp has a bounce-back game because he's not been playing very well this year. Taylor Rapp has had a rough year. So, okay, I guess we'll see. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we will see because, you just never know. Why is my government name here? What is this right here? I'm gonna fix that. I don't know how my full government name got there, but all right. Anywho, the Buffalo Bills are really going to have to control the clock and be very efficient. And that's been their game all year. As Sean McDermott said last week, we got too cute. We decided to, pussyfoot around with the Patriots, and the Patriots made us pay for it. And you can't do that with a divisional rival. Like, you have to go out there and you have to put your foot on their neck and step until they stop breathing. And we didn't do that. We decided to play games and frolic. And you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. You F around, you find out. Well, however you want to word it, that's what happened last week to the Buffalo Bills. And this week, the Buffalo Bills should not make the same mistakes. See, Rapp and Taron Johnson play like crash dummies. That's why they're always hurt. Oh, I'm not talking about injuries. I'm talking about Rapp just not playing well. Like, he's just not been playing well this year. He's been a liability in coverage. He's been making business decisions when tackling running backs. We got Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, both of which were big boy running backs. And we can't afford to have him out there making those business decisions. If it's me, I may look at putting someone else out there in the defensive secondary, because that to me is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. We have a young man we just drafted from Ohio State in Hancock. And I might rather see him out there than Taylor Rapp, because Taylor Rapp has just not been that guy. He just hasn't. And so give me a little Jordan Hancock out there, see what he can do, and I'd be happy with that. Let's see. What else we got here? Yeah. That's about it, guys. Well, this was a relatively short episode. Not a lot to talk about here. Basically go over last week and then give our takes on the Buffalo Bills potentially righting the ship, getting back on track this week. We're going to see what they do tomorrow. Will they do it? Let's hope they do. Can they do it? They absolutely can, right? Generally speaking, after a loss, they win, as stated by our boy Christopher earlier. 15-4 after a loss, undefeated after a bye. The Buffalo Bills tomorrow should right this ship and make things a lot smoother going on, right? We go into the bye with a win, come out of that bye, play the Panthers. All is well that ends well. Guys, much love to oh, nope, okay. Much love to all of you guys. Love you all. You guys take care of yourselves, take care of your families. Do good, be good. God bless, and go Bills. And I am out of here, guys. Love you.